Your complete guide to collagen and why you might need it. These are 7 of the key benefits for taking collagen. Let's go ahead and let's break down exactly what collagen is all about. All right, so first off, let's talk about the one benefit you've probably heard of before. I'm just gonna get this one right out in the open, and that's the skin benefit. Okay, we see women and men all over the place using collagen to help improve their skin. Well, the fact is there is some merit to it. It didn't just come out of nowhere. There's a study that was published in the journal of Skin Pharmacology and Physiology. Took a look at 114 women aged between 45 and 65. And what it did is it had them consume either 2.5 grams of collagen or a placebo for a good amount of time. I believe it was 8 weeks. Now, what they found at the end of 8 weeks was that the group that took collagen had 20% less wrinkles. Okay, well, that's cool, but we always like to know the why. At least I do. That's what this channel is all about, is digging into the why. Why did the women that consumed collagen have less wrinkles? Well, they found at the end of the study that there was a 65% increase in what's called procollagen type 1, and also a pretty darn good increase in elastin. Now, procollagen type 1 is what stimulates the body to create or utilize its own collagen. So the cool thing is, by consuming collagen in just a low amount, it actually stimulated the body to produce its own and sort of kick-started the process of allocating collagen over to the skin, which I find really fascinating. Now, increase in elastin as well. Elastin, just like the name implies, helps us get that elastic effect. And when it comes down to skin, that's really what we want. We want that elasticity. That's going to help prevent the wrinkles, right? So let's go ahead and let's move into the second benefit of collagen. And it's another one that you've probably heard of before. I'm just getting these out of the way, right? And that is joint pain. Now, when we look at why this occurs, why collagen helps with joint pain, it all comes down to the fact that joint pain is triggered by inflammation in the first place. And inflammation depletes what are called proteoglycans. So if we're depleted in proteoglycans, then we're not going to be able to actually recover. Our collagen isn't going to be able to do the job it's supposed to do. So a lot of the joint pain that we encounter, or people encounter in general, is either going to be degenerative bone disease or a degeneration of the cartilage itself, just from overuse. So what we're finding is that when you consume collagen, it tends to accumulate within the joints, therefore stimulating more collagen from your body's existing stores to build cartilage. Now, there's actually a study that was published in the Journal of Agriculture and Food Chemistry. Took a look at 80 test subjects, gave them either 2 grams of collagen or a placebo. Now, the patients or the subjects that it took in with this study were people that had pretty severe joint pain for at least 3 months or longer. So they went ahead and they gave them some collagen. Now, they found at the end of the 78-day study that they had improvements in their joint pain all the way back to day 35, but even more at day 70. So a progressive improvement in their overall pain. They just didn't have as much pain. Now, why this occurs? Mainly because we're modulating the inflammation. We're getting those proteoglycans back so the body's able to heal itself. This is what I want to emphasize. Collagen itself is not here to solve the problem, but collagen kickstarts the body's process so that your body can do what it does best, heal itself. Now, the third benefit of collagen that I want to talk about is sleep. Every adult that I know has encountered or battled with some kind of sleep issue at some point in the past or present. Okay. Now, a lot of people have a hard time falling asleep and staying asleep. Now, when it comes down to falling asleep, one of the biggest reasons people don't fall asleep is because their core body temperature is out of whack. We need to be keeping our bodies nice and cool when we fall asleep. Now, if you're like me, my wife likes the thermostat a little warmer. I like it a little cooler, which means that if she's winning the battle, I'm having a rougher time sleeping, even if I don't realize it, because men tend to like it a little cooler than women. But either way, we all need to be nice and cool when we fall asleep. Point being, the primary amino acid that we see in collagen is glycine. And glycine has very powerful effects at cooling the body. I'm not talking about making you freezing cold. I'm talking about just cooling the body a little bit. And it does so by acting upon what's called the NMDA receptor. This NMDA receptor sort of relaxes our blood vessels and forces a vasodilation effect. So basically all the blood that would normally be pooling around our core, keeping us hot, now has the ability to evacuate and go into our limbs, which therefore cools us down. When it cools us down, then we can fall asleep easier. But glycine also does something interesting. It inhibits something known as orexin. Now, orexin it plays a big part in arousal, in excitement, even in anxiety. So we have to be careful with that. So if we can inhibit this orexin, then we can make life a little bit easier when it comes down to falling asleep, not having our mind racing all the time. The next benefit is one that is super important, especially if you are eating a ketogenic diet or if you're on any lower carb, higher fat diet. This is its effect on the liver. Why isn't this talked about more? Collagen has a profound effect on the liver. And again, it comes back to our friend glycine, okay, that primary constituent, that big important amino acid. Why it's so important is it helps create bile. Okay, glycine is required, and I mean just absolutely required for the synthesis of bile salts within the body. If we are deficient in glycine, and studies have proven this, we do not produce as much bile. Bile is what emulsifies fats. When you eat a fatty meal, if you don't have bile, those fats are going to sit in your stomach and they are going to cause you a lot of grief. If you're having a hard time digesting fats on keto, it's more than likely a bile issue. Okay, so glycine, if we actually fix the glycine depleted issue, then we can start producing bile again, which means we can emulsify fats and absorb them and turn those into ketones or just turn them into fuel in general. Okay, so very, very, very important if you're on a low carb ketogenic diet. Now, additionally, it helps modulate inflammation in the liver via what's called the tumor necrosis factor 1 alpha pathway. Okay, so this means studies have shown that it helps improve some of the inflammation that occurs in the liver, predominantly from overuse of alcohol. So if maybe you just have one too many and you want to reduce the impact on your liver, taking some collagen can help you out a little bit. Now moving into the next piece, the hormonal side. Collagen has a big impact on our hormones, believe it or not. It helps modulate estrogen within the body. People don't even realize that, especially in the female population. You see, what collagen does, and again, it comes back to the glycine, is it helps activate estrogen receptors. You might be thinking, why would I want to activate estrogen receptors? Well, estrogen receptors are going to take the free estrogen floating through the body and actually put it to proper use so we don't have excess estrogen causing a free radical effect, causing water retention. We want that estrogen to be used properly so that we can metabolize the extra, get it out of our system. So huge effects on hormonal balancing, okay? We definitely want to have that, especially if you're a female. The next one is actual muscle recovery. Now, this is why collagen works really well in addition to a traditional protein powder, okay? Again, it's not a substitute for, it's in addition to. When it comes to muscle recovery, like from a good solid workout or from an actual injury, collagen plays a huge role. There was a study that was published in the PMC journal. It took a look at what happened after a muscle rupture. So they took someone that had a muscle injury, a good muscle rupture, and they found that collagen synthesis increased dramatically right after the injury. What that tells us is that the body was in a natural demand for collagen as a result of this injury. So someone hurt themselves and their body was like, we need collagen. We don't know why though. It just needed collagen. After an injury or a really hard workout, we don't just need collagen right after the workout. We need it continually to help support the overall recovery effect. And again, if we're deficient, we're not going to recover. And believe it or not, it's easier to be deficient in collagen aminos like the glycine, the proline, the arginine than you think. Next, seventh benefit that I want to talk about is going to be the effect on the brain. And this is all some pretty new stuff. But if you're concerned about Alzheimer's, you're concerned about dementia, you're concerned about any kind of neurodegenerative diseases, collagen is going to be very important for you. It has been shown to block the beta amyloid plaque that affects our neurotransmitters, it affects our neurons, right? So normally with Alzheimer's, we have an issue where we have so much of a buildup of beta amyloid plaque, it's blocking a signal. So we lose our memory or we develop dementia. We kind of lose our minds a little bit. So what's interesting is collagen seems to form these chunks, and these chunks sort of block the neuron so that the beta amyloid plaque can't clog the neuron. It's like acts as a buffer. It's sort of like the offensive line, to be really honest. It's like kind of stands there and blocks it. It can still let something that's nimble and good through, but for the most part, it's going to block the negative things. So anyway, this is your complete guide to collagen and why there's actually some legit benefits.